Do you identify as a golden retriever or a beaver? Are you an INFJ or an ENFP? Do you have higher levels of dominance and social boldness or warmth and emotional stability? Are you typically more neurotic than agreeable or more open to experiences than conscientious? You might have recognized these as personality types provided to you after taking one of the numerous personality tests. The 8 types of people is not yet available in test form. However, it is less about personal understanding and more about the natural compartmentalization and categorizations our brain completes to help it process interpersonal communication more quickly. If I meet someone new, but we have both taken the same personality test, we may become fast friends, or at the very least, come to understand each other quickly without needing the time to do so. However, this can also create misunderstandings due to the fact that we really don't know each other at all. We think we know where the other person is coming from, and since we assume they will be just like their personality type, we end up accidentally stereotyping them. The goal of the 8 Types of People info series is to help you see the people in your life in a new way. In this video, we will explore the 8 types of people, but in future videos, we will also examine how all of us have the propensity and capacity to behave like any of the other 7 types, no matter how we identify. This scale is not the end-all be-all. It provides a theoretical framework for us to use while examining a particular set of human behaviors, whether that be those that create our personality and perceived character, or our propensity to be helpful or hateful online. Today, we will start with the most general approach to the scale. It will be helpful to identify the people in your life or surroundings that represent each type. When we oversimplify it, every person on Earth is 1 in 8 people. We can think about it more easily by examining a bell curve. On one side, we have the more malevolent characteristics, and the other, we have the more benevolent characteristics. And remember, in the future, we will look at the 8 types of people versus the 8 types of people in every situation. But first, let's look at the 8 types of people in a vacuum. The first person we have is the moral good. They are the pure and positive person who works to eliminate problems in the world. We might call them the angel. They are a role model, and we look to them for guidance on how to become a better person. The second person is more of an average good. They really do care about certain things and will often do something about it. These are our philanthropists. They are the doers. And you'll notice that only about 5% of the population is going to fall under the angel category, and a little bit more, about 10% will fall under the philanthropist. The third person really does care, and they believe that something can be done about it. This is the hopeful. This is someone who can often be looked at as the upper versus the downer in a group. The fourth person is the average person who really cares, and you'll notice that everyone on this side of the bell curve actually cares about something or someone. The issue with this person is often they don't really know what to do about it. But this person can often be seen as a great ally and a unifier. A pretty substantial part of the population is going to fall under this 20%, under the unifier ally type. Now, as we get into what we might consider some of the more dark characteristics, let's talk about person 5. This is the average person who just really doesn't care, and they wouldn't know what to do anyways. We might call this person the lone wolf or the maverick, and about 20% of people will show up with this darker trait. The 6th person is another average type of person who really doesn't care much, and they don't think anything could be done even if they could. So you'll notice that this person has more of a cynical approach, and that's because they are the cynic. They are the downer, and many of us know these types. Even though they might fall on what we would say is the more negative side, that doesn't mean that they don't have friends. Even the loner, the lone wolf, has associates and people who know them. They might just feel more isolated because of their perspective, because of the type of person they are in any given moment. The 7th person, they probably don't care, but they definitely do profit off of whatever the angel and the philanthropist are trying to eliminate. This is somebody who might be known as the con or the cheater or the outlaw. And the last person is the immoral evil. Complete opposite to the moral good. They are jaded and they're negative, and they really continue whatever the negative situation, thing, person, whatever is going on. These people are typically referred to as narcissistic, and you would just think about them as the devil, okay? The way to think about this is just consider a situation you recently experienced where there were a variety of personality types involved. Maybe something at work or a family event or an issue within your diverse friend group. What you'll notice is each of these people people exists, and it's actually very easy to differentiate between them. The angel or the model, even though it's a small group of people, we all kind of have like one person in mind. That person might even be in a movie or a book we've read. Some of us might not have met this person, but they are a beacon of inspiration and exemplary conduct. They consistently strive to eliminate negativity and promote virtuous behavior, and not just in others, but in themselves, you know? They really embody moral goodness and purity and positivity in their actions and intentions. And the philanthropists, they're characterized, I think, by genuine concern for others, right? They may not always behave in the best way. However, because they really give a damn, it makes them such a great person. And it's their proactive approach that really makes a difference. They actively engage in charitable activities or volunteer work or some sort of philanthropic endeavor, and they're trying to address societal issues and improve the lives of those in need. The hopeful, this person brings a lot of positivity, okay? They maintain optimism, a positive outlook, even in the face of adversity. They do believe in the possibility of positive change, and they're motivated to work towards it. And I think it's really their hopefulness that inspires others to join them. But again, do they know how to do it? Not always, all right? The ally, though, they really do struggle with the struggles of others. They are so empathetic, and they really seek to bridge divides within communities. They may not always know the exact steps to take, but there is this commitment within them, and they want to stand in solidarity with marginalized groups or people who are getting bullied. They want to be an advocate for inclusivity and unity. And you can kind of see how these people in any given group could show up as being the more positive, whether it's about being positive vocally and speaking out or making a difference through their actions. These people typically do have good intentions towards life and believe life also has good intentions towards them. It's when we get into the other side where, again, we start to see more of the darker traits. But even still, I think it's important to understand that everybody has their value. Not that I would want to continue to see more and more devils created within our society, but I think that for every devil, there is an angel, right? For every negative, there is that positive side. And this gives us all an opportunity to work within our purpose. I think if more of us strive to be a little bit more positive, or at least work well within who we are and what we're here to do, because a cynic might be really good at risk management. You know what I mean? Like if we all found a way to make something positive of our personality, if we're falling even under some of these negative traits, we could do something with it. A devil or a villain could be a great person to maybe even write stories and share the mind and help people understand darkness, or even work for like the government or, you know, like the FBI helping solve crimes to help think of how villains and evil people think. So this is not to look at these people and say, oh my gosh, they're so awful. We might have friends and family members that we would say, yeah, that one's the lone wolf. That one's the cynic. That's my con artist cousin. I love him. I wouldn't let him borrow any of my money, and I'm definitely not starting any small businesses with him, but you know, that's my cousin. And so let's look a little bit at this other side of things with the 8 types of people. The lone wolf, they do operate independently, and they may appear to be indifferent to the concerns of others. This might not always be what's really happening, though. Sometimes people are driven to this state for a variety of reasons, and some of these people could have even been devils, and now they're trying to go to a better place and not be so dark in their behaviors, but they could have also been angels who became jaded. Either way, no matter how someone ended up being in this space, this person prefers to chart their own course. They're not going to feel compelled to engage with social issues or conform to societal norms. You know, their actions are really driven by individualism rather than collective welfare, but I think these people can help us to start to think outside of the box. These people can really benefit groups that are dealing with the negative sides of the echo chamber type thinking. The cynic or the downer, they really do harbor a pessimistic worldview. I think they doubt the possibility of meaningful change just because they feel really disillusioned or apathetic towards societal issues. They believe that efforts to address them are futile. So their negativity can be demoralizing. And this is where sometimes being able to identify the people around you is important. But if you fall kind of on this other side of the scale, it's important to be able to identify yourself. And if you know that you're the cynic, if you know that you bring the conversations down, if you know that you tend to be demoralizing, then you could either work to become different or better if that's how you see it, or at the very least, you can work to not be that way to others, to not have that impact, to learn when to speak and when not to learn where you might really be appreciated. I know there are so many comedians out there who are cynics, and there's something really funny about certain comedians who who are so negative, but it's just that raw, real truth coming from them and their way of approaching life can be somewhat refreshing. Knowing where you're supposed to be is going to be really valuable to everybody, but especially if you find that you're one of the people that others might shy away from because of how you come across. These last two, these are people who are going to need to purposely, intentionally choose not to be dicks, all right? The con, this is someone who's going to exploit people and it's for personal gain. So it's like, what are you got? You're going to have to become Robin Hood, right? Because if not, you're going to be deceptive, you're going to manipulate people, you're prioritizing your own interests above ethical considerations. You might even be engaging in like illegal or unethical behavior just to achieve your goals. So your actions are contributing to the erosion of trust and social cohesion. And this might be where people do tend to push away and see you as dark. And your job might be to say, I need to let people know that I am rehabilitated, that I'm no longer living in that exploitative way of life. And then to turn around and say, hey, how can I translate those skills elsewhere? And some people don't want to become better. So you don't have to take my advice. Some people are like, I'm good exactly how I am. But for those who might have noticed that this is where you're falling on the scale, it can help you understand, if this is my natural way, in most situations I kind of come across as the con, I need to figure out how to turn that into something really helpful and at the very least legal. The devil, this person actually embodies malevolence, cruelty, moral bankruptcy. This person actively perpetrates harm and destruction. They revel in the suffering of others. This is where manipulation and deception and exploitation, it goes beyond just their own gratification. Sometimes it's just to do it, to just raise hell and cause chaos, and they don't really show remorse. The issue with the devils, it might only be the 5%, but their behavior poses a significant threat to the well-being of society. You'll usually see it within the small groups, right? The small societies. The group of friends that knows they've got a friend that goes too far. The coworkers that know that they've got somebody on their team that is somewhat scary. These are the types of people that they're probably not watching this video. Like, you know what I mean? They don't want to become aware of themselves, and to know how to navigate around the tricks of a devil is something I think all of us have to deal with. Perhaps even to learn, which I think maybe the angel in me, right? There's parts of me that I want to believe that people could be better. So that little part of me might say, oh, well, we would want to help the devil, not be the devil. But that's not always going to be the case. So knowing where there is that opportunity for change or rehabilitation, where there is a willingness to do so, and also where someone just is who they are and what that means for you is so valuable. And that's where I think scales like this can help take us outside of the social constructs and the labels and all that, and instead apply a more general human label. Because the identity crisis and the finding and seeking of identities that has happened over the last 10, 15 years, because it's been so public, everyone is almost overwhelmed with all the different things that a person could be. But if we simply break it down into, I guess what you can say is good and bad, or good and evil, or something like that, and then also understand where you might fall, because you might say, generally speaking, I'm an ally. However, when it comes to certain situations, I could become a cynic. In certain other situations, I could become an angel. Knowing that about yourself and about others can also help let go of, I think, a behavior that causes us to make assumptions about every other part of a person. Have you ever wondered how someone you know to be truly evil, like really bad, I mean super bad, can somehow be loved and revered by others in their life? We like to tell ourselves that no one like that could be loved. So everyone must be faking for some reason. They don't really love that person. Something's wrong. But the truth is, even those we hate or would deem our enemy are viewed as friends, lovers, partners, and leaders by others. And there is a damn good reason for this. If we cut this down into 8 types of people and explain how human nature will always trump race, culture, and social influences on people, you'll start to realize every situation or behavior can be broken down into human nature and separated into one of the 8 ways people are going to respond. If we look at the 8 types of people and the 8 types of people in different situations, we have to look at these scales in 2 different ways. Because on one hand, we can look at that angel that is generally deemed as perfect, only to later find out that when that angelic being gets put into certain circumstances, they act like a devil. The 2 scales are like the 8 types of people to exist and the 8 ways people respond to pressure or problems. To help separate the scales, we first have to guess what people would say you were. And then you can try to think of someone who would disagree with that from their perspective, right? Like, could they be right? Maybe I might have coworkers at one job that would say I was an angel, I was the best. But maybe my boss would say, oh, no, this person was the devil, you know? Or maybe I might have a group of friends at university that remember me as being a downer, but that's because the class we were in, maybe it's the third time I've taken it, I failed. I hate this class. I hate being here. And so every time I go in, I just look like a grumpy face. And then everyone else would say, what? No, she's the most bubbly, positive person you could ever meet. You can kind of start to understand that we are not so easily described. We are not so easily defined. And identity is so much bigger than I think we understand. Maybe you think you're an ally, but your coworkers see you as a cynic. But that's only because you hate your job and your coworkers. But outside of that situation, you're completely different. Maybe you think you are a con, but your family would see you as an angel, because even though they aren't exactly sure where you got that TV, they know that you took it straight to your mom's house, like always. So let's take some of the pressure off of ourselves and focus on some of the people who are used to it, like celebrities and Hollywood types. Like a couple recent examples would be Ellen and Diddy. For many years, people who worked with these people saw them as more malevolent individuals, whereas the fans might have seen them in a positive light. Now that everyone knows, we might all have the same opinion. Yet for decades, people had very clearly vastly differing views. A fan of someone like J-Lo or Mariah Carey might think it's totally appropriate for these icons to behave like divas, whereas some people who have to fulfill the request on their rumored riders, like making sure everything in the dressing room is all white or be the person in charge of throwing away gum, they might think that these women are pure evil. Let's take a look at the possible scales of the 8 types of celebrities. So we might have the angel, the model, where we think of Prince, Dolly Parton, Reese Witherspoon, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, LeVar Burton, Bob Ross, Steve Irwin, Mr. Rogers, Betty White. These are the people we would call our national treasures. I think someone that we collectively feel this way about would be Keanu Reeves. The philanthropist or the doer, we might think of like the Oprah Winfrey's, the Bezos and his ex. I can't remember her name, so sorry to refer to you as that. Leonardo DiCaprio is actually known to do a lot. Elton John, Mila and Ashton, Bono, John Legend, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube. But interestingly enough, you started to notice something, right? Many of these names are actually rumored to have all kinds of stuff going on. And yet for most of their careers before like social media and stuff, they were kind of more so known as these philanthropists. There's the hopeful, the upper. You've got Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Kevin Hart, the Kristen and Dax. What's their names? Can't remember. There's the Will Ferrell and Jim Carrey of the past, right? We might see the Jim Carrey of the present/future a little differently, but yeah, I think we could call him a hopeful, upper, positive person. We have the allies, Selena Gomez, the Obamas, Mark Ruffalo, Jamila Jamil. Another one is Emma Watson, Cat Williams. And that might sound strange to see some of these same people on the list together, but it's like these are people who this is kind of what they're known for. Cat Williams, as of recently, might not be seen as a unifier, but even still after that conversation he had, has actually been coming back and kind of apologizing for how far he went in certain areas. So still his old nature of really trying to bring especially like Black comedy and comedians together is present. The lone wolf, we've got more of the satirical comics. I would even think the light comics, like Dave Chappelle, even in 2005, he dipped out and that's that straight up lone wolf behavior. I would think of Sebastian Maniscalco and Jim Gaffigan, people like this as kind of lone wolves. The cynics, the downers, satirical comics that are more dark, like Louis Black and Jerry Seinfeld. The cons, the cheaters, the outlaws, these are celebs who might do crypto scams. A lot of people look at Donald Trump nowadays and see that. Again, I'm not a political person, so I'm not saying anything either way. I don't care. The last thing when we think about the devil, when we think about these narcissists, what's interesting is there are people who I just named in other positions, kind of thinking more so like just long term what they've been known for, who people will go, oh, they're devils. And think about some of the names I'm about to say. Stacey Dash, R. Kelly, Ellen DeGeneres, Christian Slater, Bill Cosby, Ian Watkins, Kevin Spacey, the Duggars, Trump, Diddy. These are people who 10, 15 years ago, I don't think anyone would have called these people devils like that. 5 years ago, there were some people that might not even have been on the radar, but in the last few years, things have been coming out and now we see these people as pure evil. Do you think that these people are in the right place on this scale? I'm not really that up on like celebrity stuff, so I kind of was doing my best with what I've heard. And I think that's actually a good way to think about this, is I'm not someone who has opinions on these people. I just kind of know what I think everybody else thinks about these people. So that should be a really good way to judge them. But what do you think? If you're interested in seeing an expanded 8 types of celebrity scale where I actually like put more effort into it and not just what I think everybody would say, leave your examples and opinions in the comments below and I'll do a full video. But I hope that looking at celebrities and also ourselves, it helped you understand the 8 types of people and how there are different approaches to the way we're going to let our personality play out depending on what we're experiencing. And that happens for everybody. And if we can understand that about people, we might be able to have a better understanding understanding of why they do the things that they do, what they might do next, and how to engage with them properly. If you like this video, I suggest that you click the subscribe button. I also think you should like the video if you liked it, because that makes sense, right? But the reason I say that is because this is just the original info video for the 8 types of people. I intend on doing a lot more 8 types of people videos and crossing over the 8 types of people with my Stay in Your Lane series. If you haven't checked that out yet, be sure to look at some of the videos at the end of this video that are called end screen videos. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Okay, I'm not really saying anything. I was just making noises. Okay, love you. Bye. Okay, maybe new videos out every Wednesday or Saturday. I don't know. I'm not really sure just yet. Hopefully, maybe, probably. But I'm gonna try to maybe entertain you guys a little bit later. Okay, love you. Bye. Okay, bye.